Hola, my friend. I'm Melissa V. Cartwright, and welcome to the Passionate Performer Podcast. You have a voice that deserves to be heard, and you also deserve to have a performance career where you don't feel like you're sacrificing who you are to meet the demands of the industry. I'm a Latin singer-songwriter, actress, and voice coach with 25 years of experience, and so I get it. I understand the grind, the joys, the ups and downs, and everything in between. We cannot keep doing the same thing, expecting different results. So we are here to help you problem solve those challenges, figure out why we're feeling the way we do, and give you the next right step. We are not here to mess around. We are ready to take action. Let's go. Gracias, my friend, for pressing play on this episode. If you are someone who's ready to get out there, you're really trying to get more visible. You're telling friends, I want to perform more. I want to get connected with gigs. This episode is for you. We have the lovely Marta Spirk. She is a Brazilian-born singer-songwriter. So for me, it's really hard for me to say Marta Spirk. And I know she's going to giggle when she hears me saying this because it doesn't seem right. So I'm going to say Marta Spirk is joining me in the house on the podcast today. Marta and I started our friendship as coach and client. She's a beautiful singer. We worked on some songs together, which you're going to hear in the episode. But let me tell you about Marta. Marta has a powerful story. She is an entrepreneur. She is a motivational speaker, and she helps coach people who really want to get creative with how they share their story on stage. She has got receipts, y'all. Let me just read you a little bit from her website. She's a TEDx speaker. Go to the internet, Google Marta Spirk, TEDx. It's a powerful story that will bring you to tears and also inspire you. She is also the host of the Empowered Woman podcast and author of the best-selling book, The Empowered Woman, The Ultimate Roadmap to Business Success. So if you have an image in your head, an idea in your head of, in order for me to have, I'm going to put it in quotations, success, as a singer, as a songwriter, as a performing vocalist, wherever you are in the world, and you have a very fixed mindset on it's got to happen this way, and you're feeling discouraged because it's not happening that way, please pull up a chair and let us expand your thinking as you listen to Marta's story and walk away with some next steps on something that you can do as soon as this episode is finished. So if you're on a walk, in the car, make sure you save this for later. If you want to take some notes, download it. And if you are finding these resources helpful, please make sure to leave a comment. All right, let's dive in. I'm so glad that we are answering this question for our listeners with you and your story specifically. I've already bragged on you a little bit, and I've gotten to know you as coach client, as friend, and now as colleague as well as two professional singers. But really, like when we ask this question, okay, I'm ready to perform. What's my next step? A lot of times I think of like a classic case of analysis paralysis. Like we know we want to do the thing, but I'm curious, when you set out to do this for yourself, what was that spark for you?
Oh my gosh. I think for me, it all started with doing the national anthem. And that's how we connected, right? Was I started getting more opportunities and I wanted to sound better. I wanted to do it right because I was kind of, improvising with what I knew to begin with. And I was like, haven't done voice lessons in a while. It's time to get some feedback and get some guidance and coaching. And then I started realizing I'm more than that. I'm more than the national anthem. I have other things I would like to sing. And then together we also explored songwriting, which was awesome, and realizing that I could do that. I could put out my own songs. So I think the spark was I can do more. I can do other things. And why not?
I love that. And really, when I look at you and your journey and your content, it is all about why not, right? And so I like to break down a lot of times why we're feeling a certain kind of way, why we may be feeling, on one side, we feel this fire, like you just described, this passion of like, I know I can do, like, yeah, I want to do this. But, right? And so I'm curious, like, what were some of those first challenges that you faced or those first hurdles when you were like, I know I'm ready for this. I know I've invested in, like professional training and whatnot. What were you up against that you really had to work through?
I think a lot of I'm not that great. There are other people out there that have been doing this for a long time. Then why would I, make a name for myself and insert myself? Like there is no room for me. But then on the flip side, especially with the national anthem, it actually helped my mindset of these places can't have me every time. I don't even want to do this every game, right? Depending on what it is, because it's a big responsibility. There is room for me after all, because,
Hmm.
and especially with my experience in writing and publishing books and being a coach in the online space, there is no shortage of people doing those things. And I decided I was going to publish a book. When you go to a library, you go to Amazon, there's books left and right, but every day, our podcasts, right? Somebody decides
Mhm.
what I have is worth sharing. So I will go and I will do it. So it was on that same thought process. I decided to tell myself a better story. And so when you're,
Mm.
asking me about mindset is we tell stories to ourselves in our heads every single day, and mostly they're negative, right? We think I suck. That person was staring at me because they thought I was terrible. Why do we do that? Instead, you could choose better stories. Maybe they're having a bad day. Maybe they actually really enjoyed it and that's how they express it. I don't know. I would rather think of the positive until somebody comes straight at me and tells me this is how I feel. And still, I can choose my reaction and the way I feel about it, right? Because there have been people that
Mm.
have come to me after speaking engagements or performances that have, yeah, you're breathing, it could use a little work, I can give you some projection uh, ideas or tips. And it's not like they're a voice coach or anything. So it happens, people will come and they'll give you suggestions, and everybody has is entitled to their own opinion, and you can take it with a grain of salt. But I think the biggest piece was I decide how I choose to see this, and I can see it from an abundance perspective or from scarcity.
Mm. Ooh, powerful. Preach, preach, preach. I think yes, I mean I feel like we could spend 20 minutes just on that, but it really is a decision. There's a saying in English, you either poop or get off the pot. You really have to decide, right? I love this because even when you make the decision of why not me? It does not mean that your body automatically syncs up with that very positive, encouraging thought, right? Like you're still probably shaking a little bit, stepping up
Yeah.
to that platform and that microphone, singing the national anthem, but it's taking the action that works that confidence muscle and really allows that to really just take place. I thank you so much for beautifully stating the importance of the story you're telling yourself, right? When it gets hard or when you actually start putting yourself out there and maybe not every door opens for you. You say that the national anthem was probably one of the biggest vehicles for you to sing more publicly. I'm curious, just share a little bit more about your story as to then what led to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing for you.
Yeah, so a big turning point was, well, we started working on the songs together because my plan was I'm gonna at first do this more privately for clients, and it's going to be like reflection songs. But then there were three things that happened right in the same month. It was actually May of 2022. I had a friend of mine that manages a band here locally. She's Brazilian, I'm Brazilian, and it's a very interesting thing. All of the band members are American, but they play bossa and samba, and they don't speak a word of
Yeah.
Portuguese, but they know all the music. And she manages the band, just instruments, but then she also managed a singer that would sing with the band at times. And I had expressed interest before. Whenever I would see her stories and their performances, I'd say, if you ever need somebody to sing a song, let me know. I'd be happy to go. Years go by. She calls me one day. I didn't even know she had my number. And she says, I know this is super like out of left field, but the singer is supposed to sing at this graduation party. She can't make it. It's in 3 weeks. I thought of you. It's a paid opportunity. I have no clue why I'm even calling you, but I figured I would ask. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. First
Yeah.
time singing with a band, all songs that I don't normally sing, but I grew up listening to because it was mostly
Mm.
Brazilian songs. And I went and I rehearsed with the band, and they were like, "You've never done this before? Like, this is weird. What's happening?" And then I did the gig, and afterwards, I met with a guitarist, which was kind of like the lead of everybody, and he said, "I think you need to journal on this." And I was so, it was unexpected for because my world is all about reflection and all of this. But for this guy to come up to me and say, "You need to journal on this because this was kind of crazy experience. You're
Mm.
going to be one of those stories that we talk about after gigs." There was this one girl that did this, and I was like, "Wow, that's intense." Um, so that happened at around the same time. I was attending this speaking event for speakers, and the speaker called himself a keynote artist. All throughout the speaking, the keynote, he would be playing the guitar and doing parody or just driving different points across, playing his guitar. Very skilled guitar player, mind you. He
Mm.
had played at Carnegie Hall, like all kinds of things. And when I saw that, I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to bring music to my speeches. I want to be a different type of speaker that infuses music. After that, I was actually, my kids were doing Portuguese lessons because they're not fluent in Portuguese. There's a whole story there, but we're working on it. And what some of the teachers knew that I sang, and they were like, "Oh, we want to do an activity with the kids, and we wondered if you wanted to sing a song. And we have this other dad that's Brazilian that would accompany you in the guitar." I, you can say no if you don't want to. And I was like, "You don't have to ask me
Mm.
twice to sing. Of course I'll do it." And when I was practicing with the guy, come to find out, he's a music producer. He had produced his own music. He has lots of contacts in
Mm.
Brazil. And I was like, maybe this is it. Because I had kind of thought about producing the songs that we worked on together. But then it was going to be super expensive. I didn't know where this was going to take me. But when he approached me, he said, "This is going to be a lot more affordable because we're going to be using Brazilian currency to pay the musicians in Brazil. We can do it all virtually." And that's when I was like, there's people out there doing things. So those three things happening like a few weeks from each other were just like the sign of, why aren't you taking action on this, you know?
Oh my gosh, I'm like, I kind of have el tucutu, like my grandmother would say, like, it really is so inspiring. Part of the limiting belief problem is well, I don't blame us. I don't blame American culture for being immersed in fast track reality TV singing opportunities, which have shaped that has to be the one, or that is the best way, right, to put yourself out there. And you've just proven, like, with story after story, about the importance of thinking outside the box and being
Yeah.
open. I really do believe that, like, and I know you know this, you believe this too, based on the content you share. When you are in a place mentally where you are open, right, you're opening yourself up, you will see that. It's almost like you invite the opportunities and attract those
Yes.
opportunities to you. And so I just love how you, because of your openness, like one thing just led after the other, like the next right step. And so I want to encourage our listeners, start thinking outside the box. And one thing you are so good at, Marta, and this is like part of your branding, even in your business coaching, is visibility. Like, and part of being visible is talking about it, right? Like not being quiet, actually talking about it. Now, this has taken place in your life, with the integration of the music and the speaking. So, what are what's happening right now currently, because there's even after that, like the recording sesh, you even did a remix of your song. Like, tell us about some of the other opportunities that have been like a ripple effect because you just put yourself out there and took that first step.
Yeah, I realized after playing with that band, meeting that
Hmm.
speaker that sang, connecting in the most random places with other musicians, I realized I need to connect with more musicians. So I kind of took what I already do in business, which is networking. Like if
Hmm.
referral partnerships, you meet with other professionals that complement your expertise and you help each other out. I was like, I need to do the same. If I want to do more singing, I need to connect with more musicians and with more singers. I need to be in that scene because I'm hanging out over here, they're hanging out over there. need to go meet them where they're at. So I started joining just Facebook groups. I started posting more about it. I in networking meetings. I remember the very first networking meeting after I released my song that I introduced myself. I'm a professional singer. And I laughed, and I was like, but I'm going to call myself that now because people see me that way. This was another thing too, is that people started introducing myself as a singer and I wasn't even doing it. And I was like, if I want them to see me this way, which some already are, I need to say it. I need to believe in it.
That's
I need
right.
to acknowledge it myself. And so I started saying that, and people started thinking of me for different opportunities. And then something really exciting that happened too was in one of these meetings, I was like, if you know of anyone that needs a singer or has any connections, let me know. I connect with this lady that said, my husband used to play in a band for many years and he had a band manager. He actually moved out of state, but I can connect you with him because maybe he has connections here locally. So I talk, like being open, I'll talk, because I do this for my business. So it's like, it's no problem. I have a phone conversation with her and maybe it goes nowhere, but maybe it goes somewhere. It doesn't matter. And he's like, I know the guy that manages this other thing. And usually he gets people to play the piano at country clubs and things like that. Sure. I connect with the guy and I started playing the piano at this country club pretty much monthly. I told him I was interested in doing singing, and he has asked me for a couple different things. Timing didn't work out, but I was like, that's my jam. If I can sing and play, I would love to. Although just playing is also not as exhausting as singing. But anyways, so I don't know if that answered your question, but sure.
Totally. Totally. Because again, just one thing led to the other. I would,
Yeah.
and something I keep hearing, because since you are also a public speaker, I think this is very important actually for if you're really wanting to unlock like the next level of your artistry, you got to learn how to talk to people.
Oh,
You right? Like you
so
do need to learn how to get really clear even on your own branding, which is such a businessy word, but it's true. Your branding on who you are as an artist. I would love to hear more about how you integrate those things as a singer. Now that you're introducing yourself as a professional singer, we can see it on your Instagram handle and people are introducing you that way. What would be your first step in helping someone get a little bit more clarity on the type of artist they are?
Mm. So what's interesting for me is that I had already done all this branding work for years.
Mhm.
And when I do these groups, I took a few different programs and things like that. And I went in the group with all these other musicians. They actually were the opposite. They had been gigging for a long time, right? They were out there, they were musicians first, and then now they need to do the business side of it and they have no clue. And here I am, the odd
Mm.
person where it's like, if you need me to post 3 times a day, if that's what you're telling me, I can do it. I've been doing this for other things, Um, so I think that's a little bit tricky because if you didn't go to school for business, right? If you didn't have any kind of education on that, it's a learning curve.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
you're going to have to do it because you need to market yourself. That's the main thing. And I would say, just like I would with anyone with a business, because being a musician is a business too, is not
Mhm.
creating the pressure that you need to have it figured out day one and that it needs to stay the same forever. You know, in my business, coaching business, I have changed on my offers. And it's just a reflection of my personal evolution. And when you look at artists, it's the same thing. Through
Mhm.
the
Mhm.
years, they change genres sometimes, right? It's not even, the colors, their hair, whatever. They completely change. They take breaks for years and then they come back. Some never come back. And then you're just
Mhm.
listening to their old music forever. So it's releasing the perfection of I need to know, I need to have it all figured out. No, you don't. And this
That's
has
right.
also been helpful in connecting with musicians is because sometimes I do feel the imposter syndrome of I never went to school for music. I'm not an expert in music theory. Most of the stuff that I know is from ear, from doing it at home,
Mhm.
here and there, nothing too crazy. And then when I connect with musicians, they will tell me, well, some people study music their entire lives, but they would never go and perform the national anthem in a full stadium. So there you have it. It means nothing. I mean, obviously, it doesn't mean it nothing. You know what I mean? Like it's putting yourself out there. But in terms of the branding, I would say just start with where you are, with how you would describe yourself, and especially nowadays with ChatGPT, wonderful things we can do without overthinking, and then adjust as you go.
Oh my gosh, thank you for mentioning that because it's you. I think it's being very savvy, very wise, and using the resources we have at our disposal. No matter what your ethical beliefs are on AI, you can use it as a tool to really help you,
Totally.
especially, you don't have an artist representation yet, right? But I
Right.
think you are such a beautiful picture. You know yourself so well. And when you
Thank
look, we're going to put all of Marta's information in the show notes and I'll have her pump out all the things she's up to here in a second. But you're crystal clear. I can
you.
look at you and I was like, I know exactly what she's about, right? So I think if you're sitting here taking notes or you're on your hike or your walk or in the car and you come back to this, get crystal clear about who you are. And if you have to use, think of your own music playlist. Go to your Spotify, go to all those music genres because and I say this because some people get so bougie and uppity about, but I'm like, I'm limitless. I'm not bound to any genre. But people only know what they know. So if this is the first time I'm meeting or hearing Marta Spirk, I'm like, okay, she's got these pop Latin vibes, her voice reminds me of this and this. I'm going to use references I know to describe you. It doesn't minimize what you're doing, right? Like your own flavor and how you enhance it with your story. I think we need to let go and not be so bougie about that a little bit and just realize that's going to help your audience clarify what they're getting from you. Then when you
Yeah.
show up, and they hear your version of the national anthem, they hear your version of that cover or your original song, that's where they get to experience your authenticity. So I want to put that out there for our listeners too. Like, don't be afraid to use other sources to bring definition and clarity to what it is you can do. So thank you so much, Marta, those are so, so good. Please tell us what you are up to so we can celebrate you and find you. Do you have any projects that you want to mention that are in the works or anything that you're plugging?
So I still have two songs that I haven't released. So one that I actually produced with a different person for a book project that I was involved in, but since it's not my project, we're still kind of waiting on that. I can't just release it. I do have
Sure.
another one of my singles that is something that we worked on together that I am yet to release. Now with summer coming up, there are more festivals and more opportunities. I actually did my first county fair
Mhm.
last year. I remember I did it all solo, and that was the other thing. It was scary, to not have a band, but on the same hand, not having to coordinate and just going out and doing your own thing. You know this very well. And the organizer lady loved it. I remember I was playing a Journey song, Don't Stop Believing, and that's when she popped in and she's like, "That's my favorite song. I'm totally having you back next year."
Oh,
So I'm excited to do that again and maybe other ones. And since I've connected with more musicians, doing with a band this time. So not just doing it by myself, which adds some more depth to it. But I think this is it. And I mean, the national anthem stuff just keeps on popping up. Friend of a friend, people just know me for this. So whenever they see something, they're like, "Are you interested? Here you go." So I got to sing for a St. Patrick's Day race. She told me, "You need to follow up with me in May, and I will put you at top of the list because I'm being persistent." So we'll see.
yes, be that squeaky wheel. Tell us audio wise where we can find you. Again, I'll put all this in the show notes, but go ahead and tell us how can we connect with you?
Yeah, so you can find me pretty much everywhere. Like you said, I am visible. I'm on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on Facebook. Just look for Marta Spirk. And I'm also on Spotify, Apple Music, all the different music platforms as Marta Spirk. You can find my two singles that I've released, plus the remix of one of them, and my website, and also my podcast. Everything is out there.
She is a Renaissance woman. Yes, Marta, so proud of you and happy for you. It's been an honor to witness your journey. Thank you for taking time to help our listeners take the next right step. I appreciate you so much. Good luck with everything, love.
Thank you so much. This was great.
All right, my friends. So, of all the things that you just heard, which one are you going to do next? Connect with me on Insta. Feel free to send me your messages. If there is a challenge that is rising to the surface in your performance journey, something that's going on mentally, something that's happening logistically with your performing in front of an audience, let me know. Let's problem solve this together. You deserve to have a singing career that feels fulfilling, that fills your cup, and feels like, yeah, This moment, this season is mine. I'll see you in the next episode.